It was only a matter of time until my retrospective series hit one of the greatest franchises of all time. I wasn't sure if I should start with the actual first movie, Star Wars, or start with the first numbered entry, Episode 1. Well, when I realized how many games I'd have to cover for the original Star Wars, I figured I'd start with Episode 1. It's going to be for the best. Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, which I will just refer to from here on as Episode 1 because that's a lot to say otherwise, was released on May 19th, 1999. It was the first Star Wars film since the original in 1977 to be directed by George Lucas himself, and it starred Liam Neeson as the Jedi Qui-Gon Jinn, Ewan McGregor as his Padawan Obi-Wan Kenobi, Natalie Portman as Queen Amidala, Jake Lloyd as Anakin Skywalker, and bringing back from the original trilogy, Ian McDiarmid as Senator Palpatine, Anthony Daniels as C-3PO, Kenny Baker as R2-D2, and the beloved Frank Oz as the great Jedi Yoda. I remember going to see Episode 1 on opening night. The largest theater we had in my town was a massive 8-screen mega theater, and they were doing a special midnight showing Thursday night, and all the nerds were going. I was 18 at the time, and school was mostly done, so I could sacrifice sleep before one of the final Fridays of high school. I had already purchased the action figures 2 weeks earlier when they came out, and was thinking they'd be worth tons of money 20 years later. Spoiler, they were not. I had the soundtrack, which spoiled the big surprise death that was coming in the track named Qui-Gon's Noble End. Spoiler alerts, by the way. I'd even picked up a copy of the game for PC earlier that day when it had come out. At around 3 a.m., we all left the theater. A group nerd bonding experience had happened. Thursday, May 18th, we were nerd boys who had only seen 3 Star Wars movies. Friday, May 19th, we were nerd men who had seen the future of Star Wars. And it was okay. The movie was definitely a fun time to watch on the screen, something I got to experience with my amazing wife earlier this year when it was re-released to theaters for the 25th anniversary. It was fun watching on the small screen, again in preparation for this video, and the many other times I've watched it at home, from my special edition widescreen VHS, to DVD, to Blu-ray, and most recently on 4K UHD Blu-ray, and Disney Plus streaming for convenience. I'd love to hear your experiences with Episode 1, so feel free to leave a comment below. Oh, and if you like this and want to see more of these movie and game retrospectives, remember to share with your friends and hit that subscribe button. If you don't like it, before you leave, share it with your mortal enemies. That is the true path to becoming a Sith, after all. Since Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, is the only direct tie-in to the movie, that's what we're looking at. I was trying to decide between the PC version or PS1 version for recording footage, but the PC version requires a fan-made patch that did not work well with my recording setup, so I emulated the PS1 version and bumped the graphics up a little, thanks to the power of emulation. As per usual, some cheats were used for recording the footage in a timely manner, so keep that in mind if anything looks funny graphically, as it does have some effect. Speaking of the graphics, you can purchase this on PlayStation 5 right now through the PlayStation Classics library. It's not the prettiest looking game though. If you want to play this and don't have a copy, that's the easiest way to do so legitimately. Just keep in mind it won't look as shiny as it does on my video here. Now let's take a look at the game. While the Episode 1 game was released the day before the movie on PC, it wasn't until later in 1999 that we received the PS1 port. For you younger gamers, things were a lot different in 1999. If you think PlayStation 5 having a handful of exclusives in 2024 is a big deal, the entire libraries from PC, PS1, Sega Saturn, and Nintendo 64 were all different. Sometimes you'd have ports between the consoles, but there were clearly better versions between those ports. The PC version does have better textures than the PS1 version because of the power of 3D accelerators that were on the market at the time. The gameplay itself is mostly the same. We start Episode 1 just like we do the film. The Jedi have come to have a chat with the Trade Federation envoys, and the envoys try to kill the Jedi. We're treated to a more involved escape than we saw in the film, as the film they just climbed into and out of a piece of pipe. In the game, you'll have to move through the ship and its air conditioning to get to the hangar where they're loading the invasion fleet. Watch out for the destroyer droids, their shields are annoying as Bantha. Since your ship was blown up earlier, you get to hop into one of the battle droid carriers to ride down to the swamps of Naboo. While in the swamps of Naboo, you run into the friendly, floppy-eared, tall, lanky genius of a Gungan himself, Jar Jar Binks. As you escape from the noises of 1,000 terrible things, you quickly realize Jar Jar is probably the evil mastermind behind everything as he leads you through the swamps. He even decides not to kill you and instead introduce you to his hometown of Utagunga. Once you're in Utagunga, Boss Nass, leader of the Gungans, is force-tricked into giving you a boat, but he's going to execute Jar Jar. Obi-Wan needs to run down and rescue the potential Sith mastermind before the Gungans can execute him. I did notice there were some structural integrity problems in the underwater city of Utagunga, as multiple times Obi-Wan jumped while running through the tubes and easily jumped through the roof into the ocean. Fortunately, he was able to fall back into the tube in time not to drown. Once you save Jar Jar, it's off to Theed, where along the way you learn about larger fish. In the gardens of Theed, you need to find Queen Amidala and her entourage. You'll be spending quite some time running through mazes in Theed, while also dodging tanks and battle droid blasts. Enjoy the fancy water effects around the city. This was peak 1999 water tech in video games, at least on PlayStation. Once you find Amidala, you get the honor of escorting her through the city to escape. We all know that escort missions are the best missions of whatever game they're part of. Well, that holds true in Episode 1 as well. If you like pain, the escape from Theed is more of the Gardens of Theed, but with a tag-along. Enjoy, because once you get Amidala out, it's off to Tatooine. You get to make a fun, unexpected stop at Mos Espa, where you need to find a T-14 hyperdrive generator. And you won't ever forget what it's called, because Qui-Gon asks everyone about it. Eventually, you find a space creature named Watto, who runs a pawn or junk shop, and has a T-14 hyperdrive generator that he'd love to sell you, but your Republic credits are worthless here. Guess you need to find a way to make some quick cash. Fortunately, you run into a 9-year-old human boy named Anakin. I've never heard that name before.
He'd be able to help us.
Anyway, he apparently can race pods in the desert and promises to win you the money you need to buy that T-14 hyperdrive generator. Qui-Gon realizes there's something special about the boy and finds out his blood is infected with a high level of space parasites called midichlorians. These parasites apparently allow you to sense the Force, and because of the high number he has, he's really sensitive. Also, his mother says that he has no father. Meet Space Jesus. Now that you've found Anakin, you've found a way to get that T-14 hyperdrive generator, and done some other fun side quests involving trading multiple tools and parts around town to fix Anakin's pod, and now it's off to the races. Welcome to the Mos Espa Arena, where we're just in time for the Bunta Eve Classic. If you're looking forward to playing a pod race in this game, well, prepare for a massive disappointment. Now that you're all disappointed, prepare to be slightly less disappointed when I tell you LucasArts made another Episode 1 game all about pod racing. You can actually grab Star Wars Racer on Good Old Games if you're a PC fan, but it's also on all the major modern gaming platforms. There's a sequel that was released on PlayStation 2 and available on PlayStation 4 and 5 through their Classics selection. But we aren't talking about that game. We're talking about your quest around the Mos Espa Arena while Annie gets ready to race. There is a side quest where you meet Jabba. And in my game, I accidentally killed him. Oops. I guess this means in my personal Star Wars universe, Han Solo will not be hunted for dumping cargo or put in carbonite and made a wall decoration. And in fact, he may not even go to Tatooine for A New Hope, leaving Obi-Wan and Luke stranded until they get caught by the Empire. Scary thought. Guess I'll reload my game so that doesn't happen. Once you get Annie ready to go, he wins. Yay! Now you can get your T-14 hyperdrive generator and get off this bloody dust ball. On the way back to the ship, however, you have a brief run-in with some dude with a red and black head wearing dark robes and flipping around with a lightsaber. That's right, Darth Maul, the coolest Sith in the prequels, makes his initial appearance. I hope he sticks around for a while. You'll have a few brief encounters with Maul while he hops away before you can finish him off, while you make your way back to the ship. Once you hop on the ship, on the way out, you get one last look at Maul being a badass. Your next stop is Coruscant, and Amidala runs around with Captain Panaka, trying to get to the Senate in time to plead her case about the illegal blockade of Naboo. A variety of situations occur that make it difficult for them to just hop in a space cab and go to the Senate. It's almost like someone doesn't want her there. Along the way, you'll explore some of the top layers of Coruscant, but then go into the dangerous lower levels as well. Once you attend the Senate and enjoy some politics, it's time to go back to Naboo. You're going to bounce back and forth between Amidala's team and Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon as they battle Darth Maul in the hangar. When you're in Amidala's shoes, you're exploring the palace trying to get to the main office where Newt Gunray, head of the Trade Federation, has set up his command desk. As Obi-Wan, you're trying to keep up with Qui-Gon and Darth Maul during their duel. But of course, it's not that easy as you're dumped unceremoniously into a lower level of the power station, and then you have to crawl through maintenance ducts and jump across elevator platforms to get back and finish the fight.
We must hurry.
Meanwhile, if you saw the movie, you'd know that there's a battle between Gungans and battle droids along with a space battle in orbit. Well, don't worry, you can play in a Naboo Starfighter too, if you buy LucasArts' Star Wars Episode 1 Starfighter. It actually plays similar to the much-loved Rogue Squadron, but with Naboo Starfighter instead. Anyway, at some point, Anakin blows up the Trade Federation ship in orbit. Yay! The final battle begins when the Queen needs to assault her old office. Once she makes it in, however, Gunroy springs his trap. Oh no! Meanwhile, in the power station, Maul stabs Qui-Gon and he goes down. This is in the time before Disney, where a good lightsaber to the belly means you're probably going to die. Obi-Wan lets his anger consume him and goes to town attacking Maul. You could force push Darth Maul into the pit if you're a wuss. I battled him, lightsaber to lightsaber, and he died on top of that bridge, just like in the movie. Once Maul dies, you hear a groaning noise. This happens until you go talk to Qui-Gon, so it must have been coming from him. If you want to keep Qui-Gon alive, just don't talk to him. But then the game will never end, and you'll probably go insane. So go talk to him. Anywho, once you talk to Qui-Gon, he asks you to train Anakin, then dies conveniently. The rest of the game ends like the film. Victory Celebration is actually CG in the game and not the footage from the movie. No idea why, but it struck me as strange and it didn't look so great. Anyways, that's the Episode 1 game. I remember picking this game up on PC when it came out, and at the time, I really enjoyed playing through it. And then I never picked it up again until this retrospective. Why? I don't know. Guess I was busy. But it wasn't one of the best games I've ever played either. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't StarCraft or Half-Life or Deus Ex. That's right. Go reinstall Deus Ex, nerds. I said it. But back to Episode 1. I hate to say it, but it did not age well. I was constantly trying to pitch the camera up or down because of the weird angle it gave me and the limited space I had in front of me when walking. I got turned around on this playthrough quite a bit because of the terrible camera, and the controls weren't that great either. There were definitely a few jumping deaths as well, since you do control like a sack filled with lead. If you're the type of gamer that hates anything 3D before the year 2001, maybe stay away from this. If you were around for the early PlayStation era or have a fondness for the 3D games of that time, give it a try. Why not? Hopefully you enjoyed this look back at Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, the movie, the game. Remember to subscribe as I try to get these episodes out as quickly as I can, but sometimes job, life, or in this case a hurricane, get in the way and slow things down. Remember to hit that like button and share the video, even if you didn't like it. For the next The Movie, the Game episode, I plan to do something a little different. But if you're a 90s wrestling fan, you'll enjoy it. And if you're not, come back anyway and satisfy that curiosity of whatever the heck I'm doing. Till then, take care of yourself.